Stop for a second. Before you scroll, before you dismiss this, before you assume this is just another message, something has felt different lately. You haven't had the words for it. You've tried to explain it away. You told yourself you were overthinking, but deep down, you know, the silence has been louder. The delays have felt heavier. Certain people have felt distant. Certain plans have quietly fallen apart. And you keep asking yourself, why now? Because this is a transition, not a dramatic one. A precise one. There are seasons in life where everything feels stable, and there are seasons where everything feels slightly off. You are not in chaos. You are in recalibration. When life begins adjusting you for something greater, it rarely announces itself loudly. It begins subtly. You lose interest in things that once excited you. You start noticing patterns you used to ignore. You feel tired of explaining yourself. You crave peace more than validation. That is not weakness. That is growth trying to surface. Right now, something is being removed from your life. Not violently, not cruelly, carefully. Some connections were meant to teach, not stay. Some opportunities were meant to expose, not elevate. Some delays were meant to protect, not punish. You interpreted it as rejection. It was protection. You interpreted it as loss. It was alignment. There are things you wanted deeply that would have drained you quietly. There are paths you were ready to run down that would have cost you your peace. You couldn't see that, but it was seen. And sometimes protection feels like disappointment. That's a part no one talks about. You prayed for clarity. Clarity arrived as separation. You prayed for elevation. Elevation arrived as isolation. You prayed for growth. Growth arrived as discomfort. And now you're standing in the middle of change, wondering why everything feels unfamiliar. Because the old version of you is expiring. The habits, the tolerance, the need for approval, the fear of being misunderstood. Those versions kept you safe once, but they cannot carry you where you are going. And yes, it feels lonely, not because you are alone, but because you are evolving faster than your surroundings. There are conversations you no longer want to have. There are environments that drain you quicker. There are reactions you no longer feel proud of. That awareness is not random. It's maturity settling in. But here is where many people make a mistake. They panic. They try to go back to what felt familiar. They reach out to what already walked away. They force clarity before it naturally arrives. Don't rush this. You are in the space between who you were and who you are becoming. That space feels uncertain. It feels quiet. It feels slow. But it is sacred. Right now, you are being asked to do less, but think deeper. Speak less, but observe more. React less, but reflect more. There is strength forming in your restraint. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to chase what hesitated. What is aligned with you will not require you to shrink. Pay attention to what feels calm. Pay attention to what feels forced. Pay attention to where your energy drains quickly. Your body knows before your mind does. And lately, your body has been tired, not just physically, mentally. That is not random exhaustion. That is emotional weight leaving. You are shedding an identity you worked hard to maintain. The strong one, the fixer, the overgiver, the peacekeeper. You are learning that strength does not mean overextending. Love does not mean self-abandonment. Patience does not mean tolerating disrespect. And that lesson changes everything. There are people who prefer the quieter version of you, the agreeable version. They will not understand this shift. That's okay. Growth is not a group decision. It is personal. Right now, discipline matters more than motivation. Consistency matters more than emotion. Silence matters more than reaction. You are being trained to respond differently. Where you once reacted instantly, you now pause. Where you once explained, you now observe. Where you once chased, you now detach. That is evolution. But evolution feels uncomfortable before it feels empowering. You may feel misunderstood. You may feel distant. You may even question yourself. That does not mean you are wrong. It means you are adjusting, and adjustment takes time. Stop measuring your progress against other people's timelines. Your path is specific. Your pace is intentional. Comparison will only distract you from what is unfolding internally. Right now, clarity is forming quietly, not in loud breakthroughs, not in dramatic changes, in small decisions. Choosing not to respond, choosing to rest, choosing to think before speaking, choosing to let go without announcement. These choices look small, but they are foundational. Something is building beneath the surface, and foundations are laid in silence. You are not behind, you are not late, you are not forgotten, you are being positioned. Positioning feels slow, but once it locks in, movement becomes natural. The door you were trying to force open was never yours. The door that belongs to you will not require force. It will require readiness. And readiness is what this season is building. Stay grounded, stay patient, stay aware, because what is shifting internally right now will soon begin showing externally. But only if you do not interrupt the process. Do not rush back to comfort. Do not chase temporary validation. Do not abandon your growth to make others comfortable. The discomfort you feel is temporary. The clarity forming is permanent. And once it settles, you will understand why everything had to unfold exactly this way. Stay with this, because this is where everything begins to make sense. You've already felt the internal shift. You've already noticed the distance from what once felt normal. You've already sensed that something is ending. Now comes the part that requires courage. Letting it end without chasing it back. There is a difference between fighting for something and fighting against your own growth. For a long time, you've been trying to hold things together, trying to keep peace, trying to keep connections alive, trying to keep opportunities from slipping away. But some things were not slipping. They were being released. And release feels uncomfortable when you've invested emotion. You may still feel the urge to reach back, to send that message, to explain yourself one more time, to prove your value again. Pause. If something is aligned with you, it will not require constant effort to survive. What is meant for you will feel steady, not stressful. Right now, life is teaching you stability, not loud excitement, not dramatic breakthroughs. Stability, the kind that doesn't collapse when people leave, the kind that doesn't disappear when plans change, the kind that remains even when validation is silent. This is maturity settling into your spirit. You are learning to stand without leaning. You are learning to breathe without seeking reassurance. You are learning that peace is more valuable than attention. And that lesson shifts your entire trajectory. There are conversations you will no longer entertain, not because you are cold, but because you are clear. There are environments you will slowly detach from, not because you are better, but because you are different now. Growth changes taste. What once excited you may now exhaust you. What once felt impressive may now feel empty. What once felt urgent may now feel unnecessary. That is not confusion. That is refinement. You are refining your standards, refining your circle. Some people will not recognize you anymore. That's because they knew a version of you that was still negotiating your worth. That version is gone, and this version does not negotiate peace. Right now, the biggest temptation is to doubt the quiet. When nothing dramatic is happening, the mind wants proof. Proof that change is working. Proof that something better is coming. Proof that the discomfort meant something. But proof does not always arrive immediately. Sometimes it arrives in hindsight. You are building something internally that will soon reflect externally. Confidence, discipline, discernment. These are invisible upgrades. They don't trend. They don't get applause, but they create stability. And stability attracts opportunity. Soon, you will notice subtle openings. A new conversation that feels natural. An idea that feels aligned. An opportunity that doesn't feel forced. You won't need to chase it. You won't need to overthink it. It will feel calm. That calmness is your confirmation. But here is what matters most right now. Do not sabotage this growth by returning to what already drained you. Familiarity can be seductive. Even when it was unhealthy, you may feel nostalgia, you may feel doubt, you may feel tempted to reconnect with something that once felt safe. Ask yourself honestly, was it peaceful or was it predictable? There is a difference. Predictable feels comfortable. Peaceful feels secure. You are being moved towards security, not just familiarity. This is the stage where discipline protects your progress. Discipline in your thoughts, discipline in your boundaries. You do not need to announce your growth. You do not need to explain your silence. Let your calmness speak. Let your calmness speak. The old version of you would have reacted quickly. The evolving version of you observes first. That observation is power, not loud power. Wait. Before you scroll, stay here for just a moment. If this message reached you today, it's because something in your heart has been drifting, and you know it. Not completely gone, just distracted. You've been busy, overwhelmed, focused on everything except what truly grounds you. And deep down, you felt it. The distance. This isn't guilt. This isn't fear. It's a reminder. Because God is saying, don't leave me hanging. Not in anger. Not in disappointment. In longing. You've been asking for guidance. You've been praying for clarity. You've been hoping for direction. But when peace tries to settle in, you reach for noise. When silence tries to teach you, you fill it with distraction. When conviction gently nudges you, you tell yourself later. And later keeps becoming someday. God is not asking for perfection. He is asking for presence. You don't need louder prayers. You need honest ones. You don't need longer worship. You need real attention. Somewhere along the way, you started treating faith like an emergency button, pressed only when things fall apart. But connection isn't built in crisis. It's built in consistency. There were moments recently, quiet ones, where you felt prompted to pause, to reflect, to pray, to change something small, and you ignored it.